Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the EquinEdge Stakes Preview Show. We got you covered all the best stakes racing starting tomorrow at Keeneland. But we got the Big A, Oldy, Gulfstream Park.
Yep.
Big weekend at the Horseshoe with some state bred stakes as well as at the Big A with state bred. Some quarter horse we'll cover tonight. And then we'll wrap it up with more Keeneland, Santa Anita, a couple at Churchill Downs, and close it out at Santa Anita. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing awesome.
Good. I'm glad to hear. Yep. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. We got about 20-plus stakes races. We're going to try to get them done in 90 minutes. That's always the goal, about 5 minutes a race at the max. We'll start tomorrow, Oldy. Keeneland Race 6, Philly 2-year-olds, the Dean Dorton Myrtlewood Stakes. As always, watch the race sim. I got my Keeneland sweatshirt on, Oldy. We're coming, the meet coming to a close. So we got 2 more days. The 2 On Time Girl in the lead. I thought this was a 2-horse race, Oldy. We'll talk through it here in a second. Top of the stretch, the 2 continually. The race doesn't change much from gate to wire. On Time Girl wins. King Solver runs second. What do you think here?
I think that, personally, I thought On Time Girl was just a little bit better than King Solver. They're both more winners of a allowance, and they both can rate a little bit. I'm not sure which one ends up on the lead here, but I don't think it matters. I just think that from a performance standpoint, the 2 races from On Time Girl are better than the 4 races from King Solver.
I 100% agree with everything you said, and that's how I ended up putting the 2 on top. I thought it was just a 2-horse race. 2-1 for me. Yeah, I mean, Mr. Irad Ortiz riding here for Mr. Brad Cox. Looks tough. I do like the 2 on the outside, Oldie, so whether the 2 gets the lead, the 2 can sit right off. If the 1 gets the lead, it's where I landed. I think the Exacta probably not going to pay much, but it could be a play there, in my opinion. But it looked like 2-1 to me. King Solver, to your point, has 2 runs, a win at Saratoga, a win at Keeneland, just won last out in the 70, right, and got up, won by about half a length. I'm assuming that the 2 might get the lead, but we'll have to see tomorrow there in race 6. I'm 2-1. You're 2-1-5. You want to talk about the 5 Woodstock for a minute?
Yeah. So Woodstock's been running at, we'll call it, with the exception of Kentucky Downs on the turf, lesser tracks. So at Horseshoe, at Remington, great tracks, but not as talented. But is a Yalpon. This is a sprint. Did win against 70 SOR group by 10.5 lengths. So I think it might be more than just a 2-horse race. I mean, this horse showed it could rate last time out. It was 4 lengths back at first call. So this was not a pressing. This was a stalking trip. And by the stretch, it was up by 7 lengths. So, this horse might have more to say about this race than we think, especially if On Time Girl and King Solver hook up on the front end.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, that was a nice win at Remington, won by 10 lengths. I know that showed up as a 70, 9-horse field, sat right off the pace, ended up actually winning and just romping and running away. All right, we won't spend more time here. That's Keeneland, race 6, the Dean Dorton. 2 more days at the meet. Tomorrow, we got 1 more tomorrow, 2 stakes races tomorrow at Keeneland. We will jump to race 9, Oldie. And I did cut a few, so you get them on the screen here. I cut the 5, 7, and 10. This is Philly 3-year-olds, the Bank of America Valley View. And let's watch the race sim. Speed there from Classic Q. gets fairly easy lead. The other pace, maybe a little bit from the outside, but it looked like the 6 might get a fairly easy lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's possible, but there is other. I think there's some other speed here in the 11, the 10, and the 12 has shown speed the last couple times out as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So and that's where I landed for my top horse as well, is the 12 Mayday Ready, who I just think, with the exception of last time out where the horse just absolutely laid an egg, has been facing much better than this group.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, extremely well bred from Tappet. Oldy at 96 on the SOR for Mr. Joseph Lee. He hasn't had a runner yet at the Keeneland meet. Owned by Katie Rich, but comes from White Birch. Ben Curtis rides, won that 76, right? 2 back, and was on the lead. That was at 8, right? So
yeah, and was right there in a group against an 80. Beat a group of 76s here at Keeneland as well, so we know likes the turf course. 10-1 on the morning line, 6-1 on the E morning line too.
Yeah. You'll get really good value. My main concern on this horse was just the drop in win percent. And with the other speed from that post, there can be other speed, but I mean, it's so crazy. I couldn't believe that it dropped all the way to 8 for winning a 76 and won a grade 2, and then it drops. I mean, just completely drops off after not running last out. But I think so, player. I put the 9 on top, the top pick. Going to be the favorite for sure, I would expect in this race. Tabiti, Irad, Brad Cox. Trainer switch, comes out of Kentucky Downs, won that race overseas. So second time in the U.S. Yeah, obviously Kentucky Downs, always a funky track. Bred all day by Kingman, Oldy. It's a Juddmonte homebred. So they bring over to the U.S. Second time here. I thought this horse probably would be able to sit off the speed. You can see on the race sim, obviously, the 6, 11, 12. I think Irad's probably going to try to stop the pace, and then ultimately ends up pouncing kind of here and ends up winning the race sim. I thought would be tough. So I put the 9 on top. I was really just 9-6. I see you had the 12. Where'd you go for you had the 4 in second?
Yeah, so I didn't use the 9 at all. I had the 4 in second. So Vixen for Mark Casse. It has a win over 74s at the distance. It was at one time considered almost as good as Nitrogen in the Casse barn. I think has a great shot here at 8-1 to a return to form in a race that has a pretty decent shape as well for Vixen. So I think Vixen or Mayday Ready, you could really see a price here. Since I didn't favorite.
You can see in my notes, I said dangerous long shot. I always put my notes up here. We were talking about this in the coaching class. And then I looked and I was like, how in the world are Gaff and Cassie just ultimately 1 for 23, Oldy? I just couldn't believe that. You have the new EquinEdge stats that show up here. I can't disagree with you, though, because I originally thought the source was a live long shot. A monster GSR. I also love Oldy that this horse has 2 wins, 2 seconds, and a third. So I completely agree with you. I think this horse can probably run. And then I see we both agree on Classic Q as the third pick. Sure. So I like the 9, you like the 12, and I think we agree on the picks here with the 4 and 6. You want to talk about Classic Q real quick?
So another Cassie horse, I'm going to throw out the Kentucky Downs effort last time out because it's Kentucky Downs and that doesn't typically translate. Nearly won the Lake George on the front end. It gets the cut back to 8 from that. Has had some success at 8. Is shown it can rate 2 if it doesn't get the lead. I just, the reason it's not on top for me is I think it may be a cut below Mayday Ready and Vixen here.
Yeah. Mr. Dave Duncan, good to see you. Good evening. You're not I always love Dave shows up. Good to
Yeah.
see you. You Ren, you think that the 2 will be the favorite? I don't know. I trust the E morning line. I know the 2's the morning line favorite, but I think the 9 end up going to be the favorite. But it could be. I could, the 2 maybe could be.
I mean, got that last 2 times out and didn't win though.
Mm-hmm. And Chad finally run away, said Kinlan. Wait, 1 for 17. So he did.
Yeah.
You could see that up there with the meat stats. So
Yeah, I was
all
on
right.
the dirt, by the way.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. All right. I am 9-6. You are 12-4-6. That's all we got tomorrow. Thanks everybody for being here. We will now great racing on Saturday, Oldy.
Yes, absolutely.
We got state bred at the Big A, and then we got state bred at Horseshoe. We'll start at the Big A, 25th, if I can click the right spot. We're not going to cover all of these, you guys, just because there's so many stakes this weekend, but we'll cover some of them. We're going to start in race 6. So, Oldy, I thought we would cover the ones that we actually will be on air on Saturday, right? So we will be on the stretch run on Saturday. Mr. Matt Miller is going to be joining us for anybody tuning in. Great guest, 2021 BCBC champ before he goes and plays that. But the Mohawk Stakes, they're on the turf going 8.5, Oldy. Let's watch the race sim. Speed on the inside, speed on the outside. Yep. Sounds like a plan. It's all coming together. Slap in the face. All types of great names here.
Player Conscience.
Yeah.
Man.
Great race. And then you got Bee of Courage and George Briggs. Oh, man. Yeah. At the finish, they're all coming, but the 8 holds on. Sounds like a plan. What do you think, Oldy? 8 gonna win here?
I use the 8, but not on top. I like the 2 George Briggs here.
Yeah, you and I flipped here, but that's not uncommon. Keep going.
You know, in this case, second pick, second win percentage, but 1 against 62s in a stakes off the turf at Saratoga in the slop last time out. I think it lightly raced, I think is improving here. And, I think with Dylan aboard should get a great ride here. 5-2 on the E morning line. So you should expect this horse will likely get that, but working nicely as well for Chad over with his Monmouth group.
Yeah, I put this horse second. I agree with you. Let me see if I had. Gets back to the turf, which I think is obviously going to probably be a good thing. They're in the slop there at Saratoga. 1 on debut on the turf. Definitely can improve. It was in the 12 post that day. But yeah, I think this horse fits. I ended up putting the 8, the top pick on top. DePaz, Ricardo Santana rides, having great meet, all these 17% off 174 mounts, 3 wins, 1 at 56, 1 at 64. This is a 66. 1 easy kind of last out. It has tactical speed, 3 back there at 8.5 at Saratoga, sat right off from the 10 post and just missed. Actually took the lead and then gave it up and then was on the lead. I think they, might run better slightly off the pace. And I think that the 3 going to show speed. So maybe the 8 can sit right off for Ricardo. And I always, again, like to go here as 3 wins and 6 tries going 8.5. So many of these have done it. The 4 is 0 for 7 going 8.5. But, it's kind of a flip flop for me, but I put the 8 on top. You had the 8 second, so as happens constantly, you and I might flip flop the picks occasionally. So I was 8-2 6, you're 2-8. Why don't you talk about the 1 and then I'll talk about the 6.
Yeah. So the 1 went 11 furlongs last time out and just missed.
Yeah.
Against a similar group. That was 62 SOR. This 66 has a decent effort at 8.5 at Saratoga against 66s. Can rate, I think, will be fitter coming off that 11 furlong effort. And on the cutback, might have a shot if they go too fast here.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yep.
Small town barn, the John Pregman small barn, obviously doesn't have a ton of runners, but gets Silvera to ride.
Yeah.
I ended up going to Clear Conscience as a long shot. Carmouche, gets a couple wins out of 7 mounts. Amelia Green does well, obviously in state bred. He hits at 16%, does just fine in non-graded stakes. Won this race back here in a 66. That was in the Cassie barn, and then second off the claim here. Has a couple wins at the meet. If you can see this horse can come off the pace. So if they do fly up front, I think Clear Conscience is definitely going to have something to run into. I like that the win percent goes up from 7 to 11 here. You get an increase there. Gets back to state bred. That was open company last out off the claim. So I think she puts in an even easier spot from that race. She obviously knew she had something good off the claim, protected, and stays protected here in a state bred stakes. So I think you get a good price. Carmouche on the turf. And again, if the 8 and 2 falter, as they're probably going to be the favorites, maybe co-favorites, maybe the 2 goes off as the favorite, but maybe the 6 can pick up the pieces. So you're going to have a similar angle, just different horses.
Yeah.
All right. That's the Mohawk. I am 826. You are 281. Let's keep going. They got a bunch of state bred here. This is the 7th. And Empire Distaff Stakes for fillies and mares, 3 and up, Oldy. Let's watch the race sim. There's definitely going to be some speed in this race.
Yep.
Those inside horses going to show speed. The win percent shows this race fairly wide open. But I'm not sure. Bernie Takes Charge, the morning line favorite, does, I believe, runs on here. It does run on. Ends up closing. Few horses closing on the dirt. They're going 9. The 4 just wins, the E morning line favorite. 5 horse runs second. What do you think here?
So I landed on the 2, Bernie Takes Charge, with Marat aboard. He's pretty good on the front end. This horse needs to be on the front end, needs to outbreak the 1 here. But if that happens, that this horse has a chance to keep going, gets brave on the lead.
Whenever I hear Bernie, I always think of Weekend at Bernie's, Oldy.
For sure.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to make a Weekend at Bernie's joke, but
let's hear it. No, I got to hear it.
It's gone already. It take me too long to get it back.
You're good. Hey, Jason, welcome, buddy. Good to see you. And thanks everybody for being here. So, is Marat really 0 for 52 at the meet, Oldie? Like, I saw that and I literally just couldn't believe it. Like, I mean, it happens, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it literally does. And maybe this is the day. I mean, he is on the morning line favorite. So, I see, you see stuff like that. You kind of have to root for people like this. I didn't have this horse in my picks, but I just thought that, they're going to show a lot of speed. And I just couldn't get around that 0 for 52 for Mr. Marat. That's just rough. I ended up putting Vahamente on top, if that's how you pronounce it. Mr. Joe Sharp. Carmouche rides. hits at 44% as a duo, Oldie. I mean, they are just crushing it when they get used. I'm assuming predominantly in New York. You know, you got a big GSR increase off that turf effort. They get back to the dirt. I mean, this is a big drop, Oldie. I mean, this horse won a 72 state bred up at Saratoga back in August 21st and won easy on the lead. But it's clear this horse doesn't need the lead. It has tactical speed. You can see that in these prior allowance efforts that have, you know, last spring, last summer, 9 furlongs all day. The stretch out there was amazing. It goes 9 for the first time. The GSR had gone up 8 points off 8.5 and 12 points off the sprints. And you now get back to the dirt. I mean, I love this horse. If I get anything around 4-1, like I'm crushing. I thought that this horse looked really good here. I mean, I think the 4 is a player, but I was, you know, 5 on top. Where'd you go for your second pick?
The 5 in second.
Okay, cool.
And my third pick was the 6 Boxed Wine for Abreu, one of 3 Abreu horses in this race. But I thought there's the possibility that all these speed horses hook up and they go really fast. And if that's the case, Boxed Wine, I think, has a big shot to steal this race closing late. You know, did beat a group of 60s at Finger Lakes last time out in a state bred. Has a win at 9 furlongs, so we know can get the distance. And it just looks like if the speed doesn't keep going, that the setup's there for this horse. And, you know, this is the closer I liked here.
I could see it. I had a different closer in my third pick. So you are 2-5-6. I'm 5-4-8. I'll talk about the 4 and then we'll talk about, you know, I thought the 8 may be a closer, but K-Cup, the other Abreu, likely the one that's going to take all the heavy action. Currently, you know, 3-1, but with a 6-5 morning line, you know this horse is going to take a good amount of money. I mean, lightly raced, is hit the board in all tries. Manny gets aboard. Doesn't ride for Abreu often. You know, he's got a lot here, but I still think the 5 going to beat him with Joe Sharp. But, you know, a couple layoff lines, kind of a concern. Does run well on the race sim. I mean, if this horse is ready off the layoff, which Abreu should be fine, I think it runs a good race. And again, lightly raced. This can still improve here. I put Midnight Concerto for McPeak as my long shot coming off the pace. Elliott is aboard, Oldie. Has run on the turf. They get over to the dirt just for the 4th time. You got to go all the way back to the start of their career, but won the 1 churn mile going 8 furlongs, but has predominantly been going 2 churns on the turf. McPeak, turf to dirt, always does really well, 24%. Lasix come off, not necessarily a great thing, but does do good at a state bred level. So, I mean, I like the 5 a lot. I'm going to key the 5. I probably single that horse in horizontal bets. Definitely a win bet for me. But maybe the 8 can come along in the try or something if I was playing more of a vertical bet. But I like the 5 a lot. So that's the Empire Distaff. I'm 5-4-8, Oldy. You are 2-5-6. Let's keep rolling because we got a bunch. Dave got a good hit. That doesn't surprise me. And congrats, Dave, wherever it was. He's always crushing.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Great week at Game or last couple weeks.
I love it. The 8th, Fillies and Mares, 3 and up, Iroquois Stakes. My main squeeze, only going to be the heavy favorite, I think. I know that the 8 horse is 5-2 on the morning line, but I don't think that horse is going to go off anywhere close to that. I think the 3 probably takes the most action. Going to be on the lead. I think probably kind of has its own way of what it decides going to happen here. Sterling Silver on the outside. KD riding the 7 Sunday Girl. The race sim has the 8 actually winning, Oldie, in the top pick. What do you think between these two?
I went with the 3 as well there.
Yeah.
I just think this horse has been facing better, and that's a drop into state bred basically for this horse out of graded stakes. That's a big drop. That this horse ran well in the Madison, the Raven Run, you know, and last time in the Ballerina, Van off or eased at least, but looks like it's healthy, been working well. Yeah, I just think that probably a cut above this group.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the daily double there, 5 into the 3. We'll have Mr. Matt on, so we'll see what he's doing. But I agree with you. I had my main squeeze on top as well, Oldie. I see you have the 7 Sunday Girl second. I had her third. You want to talk to us about her?
So David Dugan for with Katie aboard, they're 33% as a combo. Katie's
Yeah.
a 10% jockey over the year, but they're 33% together. So he puts Katie on live horses. So we should assume this horse is very live in the spot. Horse is tactical. It's beaten 70s. Should get an excellent trip. Has a win at 6.5 on the dirt as well. So that this horse could stay close to the pace if nobody goes with her, because there's really not that much true speed in this race. Sunday Girl might have a shot to steal this on the front end.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'll have to text Katie and just watch the race sim, Oldie, to your point, and she might be able to go to the front. You can see she ran all her best races, Oldie, really up on the front end, right? Yeah. A length right off base. This is on the lead here at the first call, takes over. So, and then look what happens, right? These were way tougher, which is the same level today, but she ends up being a little bit off the pace. But I think to your point, with that pace number being 66 and it's not a 80 or something, right? She might be able to control up there or sit right off on the outside post. I think the 9 probably going to show some speed, Kali Magic, but I think she gets a good trip from here, and I think can run a good race. And Katie's been right.
Not the greatest. Yeah, 9's not the greatest breaker either, so she might be able to get the jump on the break
there. Yeah. No, it's a good point, and she could go and be gone, right? So, you have the 3 and the 4, Stone Smuggler, the 4 here, and then you obviously have my main squeeze, who is just classy, so I think going to be tough. But I agree. I had her, and I was 3-8-7. You are 3-7, and then you want to talk about your long shots. Stone Smuggler.
Stone Smuggler did win one of these state breds, a New York Stallions race at the end of 2024 for Abreu. The horse is tactical, so a similar profile here. First off the layoff in a grade 3, that was too difficult. I think cutting back into state bred here should fit this horse well, and another horse that can make its own trip potentially here, because it has shown the ability to rate in the past. And at 12-1 on the morning line and 6-1 on the E morning line, there should be some value there.
Yeah, I looked at this horse. I just thought, it's coming from too easy, but I also think this horse might need the lead, Oldy. I know it didn't need the lead 2 back and ended up winning, but when I see here, can't get the lead back up, can't get the lead and backs up, that would be my concern. But 3% gonna be a good price. You get 6-1. I mean, I bet this horse takes nowhere close to that money, so you'll have some value. We didn't talk about Sterling Silver, so I'll talk about her real quick. I mean, Mr. Belmont dropping class, ran really well here at the Big A. That was at 6.5, Oldie, and now they come back to 6.5. The win percent goes up from 22 to 24. It's a drop, a couple points, and it didn't run, she didn't run on the turf, but maybe that's what she just doesn't want to do. Anytime I see Oldy, at start 33, they went back to the turf for a second time. I'm like, meh. I mean, it's tough. I mean, I'm not sure why they decided to do that because they've been on the dirt, but they're still trying to figure it out. But it is dropping. Probably gets a good trip from out here, I would say. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I dropped this horse for a couple of reasons. Number one, its only win in the last year was in the slop. So maybe if it's raining, I might change my mind. But that was one thing. Also, I thought in that grade 2 there that it was a very one-paced effort, and the kept on there was more because other horses tired at the end, and not because of a good race run by this horse. I don't think this horse wants to sprint. I don't think it wants to go 6.5. And I don't really understand the move to running that short there based on, you look at it, nearly won at 9 furlongs, nearly won at a mile, and its worst efforts actually have been at 6.5 and 6.
Yeah, well, it's
Going
2
back
wins,
into
but I can see it.
2024. But
Yeah.
look at 2024 and 2025.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I totally understand where you're coming from. I mean, the horse does win the race, Sam. I mean, and it's taking a drop, but I mean, it's late in the career. I mean, she's 6, and they're like still figuring stuff out. That's my point with the turf. Like, so, this isn't that, in my opinion, that of a great group. That's why I think my main squeeze is going to be. I love the daily double from the last race, 5 into the 3.
One other point I see here with our new stats is that Belmont is only 7% at this Aqueduct meet.
Yeah, I saw that, Oldy. I mean, 55 runners, that's, only 7%. So what? 4 wins, I think, is probably the math there. But yeah, no, I could see fading this horse. That's why I think the 3 going to go off as a heavy favorite. So, all right. I am 387. You are 374. We're going to keep moving. Mr. Buffalo Mike, yo, good to see you too. And we're going to go race 9, and then we'll do one more at the Big A, Oldy. Back to the turf, 8.5 on the outer, the Ticonderoga Stakes. Fillies and mares, 3 and up. I did cut the 2 and 3. Let's watch the race, Sim. And the 1, a 99 pace, has the pace square, Oldy.
Does, yes. And that there is a bunch of speed here for sure. And when I say a bunch, there's 2. Right?
4-horse wins the race, Sim. Awesome check. That's who I put on top, but I see you put somebody else. So why don't you kick us off where you landed on top?
So I landed on top with the 5 Moon Age Dream to win the Ticonderoga Stakes here. For Abreu, I seem to be picking a lot of Abreu horses.
I see that.
So he's either going to have a big day or I'm wrong. This horse won this race last time out, or last year, I should say. Had won 3 in a row. Is 3rd off the layoff right now. Should be coming into form for Abreu here. Has Manny aboard on the turf. Is tactical, so is second fastest pace number, but this horse can rate. It has won from as far back as 4 lengths at first call. So I think this horse can just sit right off of Spinning Colors. If Spinning Colors tries to slow this down, if Spinning Colors tries to wing it out there, can sit a little further back and should get a perfect trip and potentially upset the 4 Awesome Check here.
Yeah. No, I could what were my notes on this horse? I think I don't know. Like I totally could see it. I didn't have this horse in my picks, but it's dropping in SOR. It's the top win percent. So yeah, I could see it. I ended up putting an Awesome Check on top, wins the race sim in form, hit the board in 11 of 17. You have a lot of Abreu. I already had a Horatio DePaz horse, so I got another one here with Mr. Santana. They do well, 20% as a duo. He does well in non-graded stakes. So state bred, 2 back, stalking the pace. Missed last out, but ran well from the 8 post. That was 9 furlongs, so they cut back. If you go to the GSR tab, Oldy, you can see here 4 of 7. I always like to see that, and you go lifetime and has 5 wins. So, 1 for 10 at other distances. So, I mean, that's what, in my opinion, she wants to do. I think she wants the turf. You look at her dirt efforts, Oldie, and they're not impressive. She couldn't break her maiden there. Then she finally broke her maiden on the turf at 8.5, and then won at Saratoga. Won again at Saratoga and again, but comes back to the big A. I think she's going to be tough on the drop again. I mean, that's just like your 5 horse Moonage Daydream. They're both dropping out of much tougher. Comes from Open Company there. They both come from that same race, right? So
Yeah.
I had her on top. Where did you go for yours? Oh, you went to the 4 second, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, 2 back in that the last time they both ran state bred and they ran against each other, they finished a half a length apart.
Yep. Yeah. And the Yado. Yes. In the 5, the top win, but the 4, the top pick. So, and then on the race sim, they're both right there, right? So, looks like a duplicate or a similar race coming. I'm 4196. Why don't the 6 is a bomber, but why don't you talk about the 9 and I'll talk about the 1?
Yeah, I mean, it's George Weaver on the turf. He does really well with these turf horses, and especially in state breds where he's 21%. He's 18% in the meet, so his horses have been running very well. But I think we both would agree that this horse needs a pace breakdown.
Yeah. Yes.
And if that happens, Awesome Check, Moon Age, Daydream, Spinning Colors, they all could be sitting too close there. And Brock Nardini could be the one who picks up the pieces from that. And I think you'll probably get better than 6-1 there, just because I think there's a lot of money that's going to go on the 5-4.
Yeah, and the 1 also going to take money too. I would agree.
Yeah.
I think Spinning Colors. I mean, I had this horse in the pick. I don't love this stuff, but it is a drop, Oldie. And if she does get loose for some reason, and she doesn't get too much pressure, she could be brave. I mean, Dylan rides here, Oldie, and hasn't been aboard. And for Hank, he never rides, but it takes it here. I mean, I don't love this as a pick, but I definitely would probably use in a horizontal bet because of on the lead. And I think she could get brave and on the drop. I mean, she did win on the lead here. These were just tougher races, right? And she almost in that same race, the Yado, right, with the 4 and the 5, she almost wired the field, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if she does. I think she could be tough there. And then I also thought Bobby's M girl, Katie Ride's going to be flying just like the 9. She's going to be a big price. So if the pace is super hot, she's going to come flying. You know what I mean? I don't know if she can win. It's a big step up. But, also riding for Dave Dugan, like she's going to be coming, maybe can try to hit the try or the super, but as a bomber, if I was using, 3 or 4 horses, I'd probably use the 6 as well if this thing completely stops on the turf. So, all right, I am 4196. You are 5-4-9. Let's keep going. We got one more oldie at the Big A, the Empire Classic Stakes. Let's watch the race sim. Back to the dirt. You think the 7 has the most upside? I don't know. I didn't see the 7. 7 here has a pace square. Are they going to be up front?
If Liam.
I think that horse got to improve too much was my note.
Yeah.
Doc Sullivan on the inside ends up winning the race sim. I see you went elsewhere. Why don't you talk about your top pick first?
Yeah, so Bank Frenzy beats a similar group a few back in April. Here, it's tactical, but prefers to stalk, and I think should get good stalking position behind what I think's cheaper speed and Chief Liam and Dr. Kraft here.
Yeah.
2 or 3 at the distance. So we know likes the distance. For me, the one thing that worries me a little bit is Rudy's horses aren't always ready to run off the layoff because he's only 8% off the layoff. So, I looked at the works. The works look pretty sharp. So I'm hoping Rudy has this one ready to fire.
We saw this both of us as a 3-horse race, even though the win percents are fairly wide open. I'm trying to beat this horse. I did put it as my 3rd pick. I think this horse is going to take heavy money. But man, the horse fits. Rudy doesn't win often, but he does win with this horse. Only 10%, 120 state bred races, and 3 of them recently with him as a 5-year-old gelding. But my note, I don't see this horse as a lock at all at 20%. The win percents have been up there and has been winning, but I put Doc Sullivan on top. Big increase, Oldy, in win percent. Goes from 9 to 25. Ortiz, Rosario. It's just a big drop from a strength of race perspective. Drops from the Forgo was at 82. Those were both 7 furlongs. Gets to 9 furlongs, right? We got to go all the way back-to-back races at Parks and Saratoga in a 74 and a 76. Here was on the rail in the Pennsylvania Derby, past tiring rivals, but that was much tougher, but ran a really good race here, Oldy. And I know that was essentially over a year ago, but I thought it was interesting that they're going back to 9 furlongs. But the one thing I would say about him, he's no joke. He's hit the board in 12 of 17, 5 wins, and finds a much easier group. I think you can scrap both these races after the win. Was in the mud in that win, but I think Ortiz just got way too aggressive and it was like, we're going to jump right into the tough, they jumped right into it at the Big A in Saratoga. These were way too tough. And you can see on the race sim ends up winning. I think could sit off this cheap speed that you talked about, Oldies. It's a ground saving trip. I think it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I thought this was a 2-horse race, but I didn't think Doc Sullivan was one of those 2 horses. I thought that the other horse with a huge shot here was the 2 Iron Dome.
Yeah, I agree.
Who has 3 wins at 9 furlongs and, ran respectably well in the Oklahoma Derby, stalked and was just second best there to a much better to a Derby qualifying horse. But in a group like this, you could see a performance like you saw at Saratoga from this horse. It would not surprise me. And I think Asmussen has a good one here. He put Santana aboard. that they've paired together not that many times in the last year, but they used to pair together all the time.
Used to be like
It's
800 mounts a year.
so it's a jockey that he has a lot of familiarity with. I like that move here. I think Iron Dome could be really tough here.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was 1-2-5 here, 5-2-1. Well, that makes sense, Bluegrass. Oldy, that David Aragona on vacation. Yeah, he's the best U.S. odds maker in my opinion. He does a great job, but that makes sense of why the morning lines are all. I kind of wondered that. I'm like, what's going on? That's very strange. But if David's out of town, that makes sense. As ability improved for sure, Oldy. I mean, lightly raced in the versus this group. Only eight runs. Or 8 races and has hit the board in 6 and has 3 wins, right? And to your point, in form, dominated at Saratoga, comes right back to state bred again. I think it'd be tough as well. So, all right, that's enough for the big A. For all those state bred, Oldie. Now, before we do the state bred at the shoe, we're going to jump over to Gulfstream. But the Empire Classic, I am 1-2-5. You are 5-2-1. Gulfstream Park has 1 stakes for us, the 9th, on the turf. I think the 5 going to be extremely tough here. Yeah, you agree. So we'll talk this one, but we'll make it quick. You and I actually see this very much the same. So cheap speed up front, right, Oldie? In my opinion, I don't think that 4 has any shot here. Doesn't want the turf, I don't think either. Maybe doesn't want to sprint. Wants synthetic was my note. So gonna show a ton of speed. The rail gonna be out, but I think the 5 gonna sit just a great trip. I think it's just way better than this group. The 1 and 11, I think, are kind of running underneath. The 1 might be a player, I would say, in the exacta and the try for how well runs on the race sim, Oldie, and maybe we're gonna get a good price on that horse. So I'm kind of excited to for the exacta here, but I had Storm's Wake on top, and you do as well. Why don't you talk to us about the 5?
Undefeated for Brian Lynch. It's his first runner at the meet. Juarez also his first runner at the meet, but he did have a couple wins at Keeneland last weekend. That this horse has already beaten a group better than this at Churchill. They obviously feel comfortable in shipping this horse around everywhere. It's top win. It is top E pick. It just seems like it wants the turf as well. It's top GSR. That's going to win like 40% of the time. The morning line loves it. So there's a lot of things pointing to this horse beyond just performance on the track.
Yeah, I would agree, Oldie. It was interesting. Isn't Lynch just having an outstanding meet at Keeneland? I thought I had read that.
I don't know off the top of my head, to be honest.
I think he is, but he ships in here, but he finds like a great spot just for stakes for Philly 2-year-olds. The Dear Peggy, but I don't have much to add. I just think that she way better, man. She won that 68. I know she just got up. I know the rail going to be out, but there'll be enough speed here, and I just think she's better in this group. She's bred all day. Amber Storm, Oscar Performance. She's a homebred for William Warner. I don't know. They find a great little stakes race, and I think she's going to be tough. For me, she's probably a single. The 1 and the 11 is the other spot that I looked kind of Oldie and second time out for Safi. But I don't know. I think she probably running for second or third. Dandana, but what do you think here?
I thought that's a tough post. I did really like the horse. But I think it's going to need to get a trip. I was interested to see that Ray Lou was aboard here and that Zayas is aboard another horse though as well. But this horse has some pretty big works for Safi as well. So maybe this horse will be able to overcome that. We don't really know because the horse broke a little slow, that whether this horse might actually have some more speed than we're seeing here too.
Yeah, on the race sim, I mean, it definitely is far back, and that's a concern to your point with that post. But maybe breaks better, and maybe can show some speed in a player. I mean, you're gonna get a good price. I mean, definitely, I think is a nice horse. I just think she's gonna have to overcome it from out there if she doesn't have much speed, especially with the rail like that, Oldie. Like it's gonna make her life difficult out there. I see you have the 3 and 3rd who has a much better post. The other Safi, Spirit Doll.
First time turf. The dam was turf, not dirt. So that I think that's why they might be taking this chance here after the horse didn't run a lick in the spin away. But this horse has also had start trouble in each race, so you'll see it says bump
I
start,
saw that.
eased, and bump start. So maybe also moving to the turf, they think it'll get an easier break as well. And that there are some works here that you look at that one of 181 at Saratoga, that was sub 48 seconds. It was 46.80, and ran a sub 3 furlong that was 3:35 seconds. So this horse definitely can run and may have, if it can get out of the gate, might have some explosion. So I just thought, Zayas is aboard. There's something odd that he's hit on this horse and not the 11. And maybe Safi knows something here that we don't know. They're both Tisla Law horses as well.
Yeah, no, I could see it. All right. We both have the 5 on top, 11-3, the 2 Safis, probably players, but we're going to keep going, Oldie, just because we sorry about that. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, because we got a bunch at the shoe. State Bread. We're not going to cover them all again because there's a ton of them, but they start bright and early too. Look at that, 8 a.m. Pacific. Good for them. But race 2, Oldie. I thought that we'll watch the race sim. I think the 2 is probably tough here. I wanted to cover more of the races. We'll cover actually a few quarter horse races as well, but I thought the 2 is going to be tough. Good looking Justice. Speed on the front end at the shoe. They're going to be dangerous. The 5 lost to the 2 last out. The 2 put it away. When you look here, I mean, 1 of 66, 1 of 68, 1 by 7 lengths, 1 by 3.5 for West. De La Cruz, I think, is the leading rider at the meet, if I remember correctly. I just think that he's better than this group, Oldie. Has faced some of them, and I think it's going to be tough. Yeah. So, again, I think could be maybe a free square early or daily double in and out. But looks tough. Let's keep going, though. We will jump to race 4, the Indian Stallion Stakes. Again, state bred Philly 2-year-olds. Let's watch the race. And big favorite, Oldie, going to be on the outside. But I thought you might be able to beat this favorite. It was why I wanted to cover this race. You could see him be 40%. There's going to be some others that take action. The 2, I think, will take money. I think the 7 will take money. On the race sim, you can see the 7's coming, Oldie. And I worry a little bit with the 10 having that other speed directly to the inside and being out there. The 9 going to be there for a bit. I think the 7 could win this race, Eltonage. Your trainer does well. He's not amazing, but Pedroza rides, good jockey. you can see he's been aboard. They ran good last out, and that's 72. And then you look at the 10 won that race, but the 10 was in the 5 post. Now the 10 got to shift all the way to the outside. The 7 was in the 3 post, ran a good race. So I mean, it was bumped. I don't think it had the best trip and still ran on for second. So I think the 10 could be tough. But I did think that EquinEdge might be able to turn the tables here as they go back to 6 furlongs, and Pedrosa might be able to get the win. It's bred well. It's a homebred for the spooky hollow racing time of year for Halloween coming up. But what do you think here? You think the 10 can win? Think the 7 can beat the 10?
I think it's possible. I kind of have a long shot I like here in the 3 Starry-Eyed Justice. With
so I agree. I have this. Go ahead. I do agree with you. Okay.
So this horse had some trouble.
Yep.
First time off the layoff. Should improve second time out here for Clock. He's almost 30% second off the layoff here. And I think this horse might be able to rate, just based off what I'm seeing on how the horse ran after the start trouble. And, what shocked me was how poor Abel Cedillo's doing out here at 8%. I mean, he's a good jockey, and he's 17% at the meet, so he's much better at Horseshoe than he was over the year. And,
he never really fit I feel like when he rode out west in California, Oldy. Like, he just didn't do well. So I agree with you. I had the 7 on top, but I thought the 2 and the 3 had long shot looks. The only other comment, I agree with you. You can see they're bobbled, and that was in the 9 post, Oldy, and now shifts inside to the 3 post. And so with that speed here, sorry, what's happening? Come on. The 9, the 10, the 7, obviously, the 3 is going to be forwardly placed and sit right off the lead and might get a ground saving trip. You can make the same case for the 2. Zealous Justice was on the rail for West. The leading, again, I think De La Cruz leading, I think, at the meet, rides here. This horse might be able to improve too. So I think there's a few ways to try to beat the 10. I just, again, with that speed directly to the inside and being in that post, I could see somebody sitting the trip. So I was 7-10-2-3. I do think you might be able to beat the 10, though. All right.
Can I mention one other horse that's a long shot for me here? Is the 6 Sahara Hottie, who definitely can rate, had issues last time out and was basically eased. So I'm just going to toss that race. But, this horse might be able to sit off the speed here and could be the one who closes instead of the 7 there.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe a race to try to beat the 10. And Cindy 4, Party in the Club, long shot look. Ran in that stakes race, was bumped as well, had run really well 2 efforts before that, still maiden. Those can pop. And Cindy, good to see you. I'm glad you joined.
Great to see you.
Another, again, like, you might be able to get a price in this race. That's why I wanted to talk about it. You might be able to beat the 10, who I think is vulnerable. All right, let's keep rolling. We're going to just go to the 5th, and then we're going to talk 2 quarter horse. We're going to talk the 2 big quarter horse races. Oldie, as you know, I always like to cover quarter horse. More favorites on the outside. Not favorites, but they're huge morning lines, but the E morning line had them much smaller in the 11 and 12 hole. But I think the 5, the horse to beat, I'd be putting a win bet on this horse. Q's top notch. An 8-5 EE morning line. Maybe the 11 or the 12 can hit the exacta. I like the 5 over the 11-12 exacta, Oldie. We will get to show this race too, which is awesome. if I'm correct. Yes, we'll have this right after we start. So you can see the 9 runs on as well, but I like the 5 over the 11, 12. Q's top notch here, Oldy. I think it's going to be tough. One last out in the 64, 1 3 of 4, bred really well. Always crazy when you see a Prairie Meadows 80. That was that freshman race. For whatever reason, those 2-year-old races there show up really strong. But obviously way too tough. I mean, didn't run at all. And I didn't get a chance to see who was actually in that race, but comes back to Indiana, wins easy by 2 lengths. That was in the 8 post going 6. I think he's going to be tough. Pedrosa rides for Garcia. He's got a good one, and then again, I think the 11 and 12, if they didn't have such brutal posts, the 11 won, broke the maiden last out, never easy. De La Cruz rides there. We keep talking about him. And then you have See You Later, the other picks. I think the picks have this locked down, but I like the 5 on top, Oldy, just because of the posts of these other horses, and Barbosa only 4% in the meet on the 12. The trainer 0 for 20. So I don't see this horse as a player, but I thought the 5 would be tough to beat here. But what do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I thought it was all about the 5 there.
Yeah. All right. 2 more at the shoe. Again, as I mentioned, we're going to skip some of these. We're going to skip 6 and 7. Those are the 2 other thoroughbred races, but Oldy and I will cover those on the stretch run on Saturday. We will have the horseshoe live, and we're going to go to the 8th, Oldy. We'll cover 2 of the quarter horse, the 2 biggest stakes. This is the Governor's Final, $320,000 purse. And then we'll cover the last. Let's watch the race, Sim. I thought this was actually a pretty competitive race. I liked, that's part of why I wanted to cover it. You got, I think that the 6 and 7 are players, but I landed on the outside. WR Hot Shot. Those middle posts and quarter horse can be really difficult, Oldy. Just because they're in the middle of the track. But I think the 6 will play. But I went to the outside in WR Hot Shot, and great post. It did burn money in these races and has been backing up, but I think it's going to be tough. We're in a 1995 in the trial. You can see the time there. We do have the times on the quarter horses, much quicker than, the 6 ran in 1993. So I think it's a player. And then the 7 was the 2016. And I'll talk about the 5s of 2022. So mainly from a post, I was 10-6-5. Not like huge preference, Oldy. I think the 7 even could be a player. But from the post position, I thought, 1-2 races, 5 of 6. Eggleston does great here, obviously. You can see with the jockey 18% at the meet. But I thought would be tough. I do think the 6 is probably a big player, though. But Oldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was 10 or 6. I went with the 6 here. If I were to look elsewhere, I'd be looking at the 1 or 9. I think you talked pretty thoroughly about the 10 and 6 there. But
Yeah.
The 1, the jockey trainer, is 21%. It did win 58, just missed at 400 yards. And ran a 2020 there, and which is comparable to what the 7 ran when they ran against each other. But I like the post better. I like the 1 post there better than I like the 7, which is in the middle.
The one thing I would say about this horse too, Oldy, I didn't catch this. I did catch it on the 5 horse, so it's a very similar angle. But the GSR, Oldy, goes, sorry, Scrat, I'll bring that back. I appreciate it. But I like these angles where you see the GSR increasing as the horse ran 400 for the first time, right? So, and in any of races, I always like to see when the GSR goes up on that new surface or distance. For quarter horses, though, you see that increase there, Oldy. And the one thing I will say about quarter horse, a lot of times they run trial races to get into the stakes race, Oldy. You don't need to run your fastest time in the trial. You need to run your fastest time in the next race, which here is the stakes race. So it's a great angle, I would say, you have on the one, because the GSR went up 10 points, Oldy, from 300 to 400, and it goes up 4 points from 350 to 400. So the horse wants longer, right? And this horse might even want to go 440, right? So it's a great angle, like, and you're going to get a great price. So I can't fault you. I had a similar angle on the 5, honestly. So, I think this horse is a great long shot. It's an Eggleston horse as well, but it's the same angle. The GSR went up 7 points from 350 to 400, and the horse ran a 2022. So it's fitting in that same grouping of the 2020. So as a trainer, if that's what you're trying to do, now you try to come and run that fastest time in the actual stakes race. So, I thought it was a live long shot, but tough. I think it's a tough race. I don't think the 10 is any lock. I don't think the 6 is a lock, but it's going to be competitive. All right. One more at the shoe, Oldy. We're going to skip all the way to the end, everybody, just because that's their big futurity race that they're going to have on Saturday. And let's watch the race, Sim. We talked about the 10 post. I think the 10 post is going to be tough here. I think CV Denali is a legit favorite. I do think the 1 has a shot. The 6 and 7, I think both have shots. The 10 wins the race, Sim. You can see here, only 3 of 3. 1 400, 1 by 2 lengths. That was the 2015. Some of these others did run a quicker time. So I think, a horse like the 6, the 7, and even the 1 have a look. But I thought the 10 with that post, Barraza does really well, 20%. I'm sure is probably, I would assume, the leading quarter horse trainer, but not positive, just from a win percent standpoint. But, runs really well. This is a state bred futurity, so it is for Indiana bred quarter horse. But that was the 52, the trial to get into this was 70% that day, right? Just absolutely destroyed the field. But I think it's going to be tough here, so I put the 10 on top.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see the 10, the 7. Another one that fits that same angle we just talked about is the 9. Queen Vinchek. Close enough. GSR goes up at 400 and just missed last time out. Is not that much slower behind these horses. High percentage trainer.
Same guy. Yeah, that's the same Claudio. He's the same trainer. Yeah. No, I could see this horse running well for sure. The other, I think the 7 T-Dub No Beach Secrets, is a different trainer, which may be a good thing. Ran the fastest probably trial time, faster. But again, that doesn't always mean that you're going to come in and win the race. And you can see from the morning line and the E morning line, doesn't, but did win the trial there, ran a 2011. And then Beach Burner was the other one. That's another Barraza horse. So he has this race kind of. How many does he actually have here? 1, 2, 3, 3. So I thought I had a big look as well. So 10, 7, 6, Rock and Beach, the one going to take money is an Eggleston, I think had a look too. So, all right. That's the horseshoe, Oldy. We got about 7 or 8 more races. Back to Thoroughbred, but we're going to stick with Saturday. That's the Miss Roxy Little Futurity. And now we're going to go back to Keeneland. Race 6, the Bowman Mill Stakes. Oh, no. We're going to... Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay. I just got the wrong name in here. I see. Okay, the Bowman Mill Stakes. Let's watch the race, Sam. I was confusing myself. And Scrat, thank you. Hit the like, everybody. Hit the subscribe. Thanks for being here. You could be watching football. You could be watching basketball. There is no baseball. World Series starts tomorrow, I think, Oldy.
That's odd. They give them too long off, I feel like.
It is weird. I agree. When that Mariners game was Monday? Yes, Monday.
Yeah.
I'm still recovering. I did not sleep that
Ugh,
day.
brutal.
I was so depressed on Tuesday. I can't every time I see something, it's a little bit easier to take. But oh my gosh, I woke up at 3 a.m. Tuesday morning and couldn't go back to sleep. Ugh. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're moving on. I try to move on every time it comes up. I'm trying to beat the one horse here, Oldie, and you are too.
Yeah.
They're both Wesley Wards, if I remember correctly. You and I land on the same horse. Why don't you talk to us about Outfielder, the 3 horse?
Well, he's back and he's at the wall and he leaps and he makes the catch. He first time Dirt beat a group of 70 SORs by 2 lengths, really was in control in the stretch. This horse already has a win at 6 furlongs at Keeneland. Dettori gets aboard and rides here. I think Hartley and there's some other speed here will be on the lead, and I think this horse can rate a little bit. And I have questions about anybody else in this field rating. So, that's why I landed on Outfielder, because I think this horse has a chance to do it in more ways than one. And Dettori and Ward are 53% as a pairing.
Yeah, Frankie getting live mounts, Oldie. This Outfielder was cross-entered back on the 4th there in October. It was entered at a race in New York and then was entered at the race here at Keeneland, and they ended up scratching out of the New York race. I don't remember what it was though, and ended up winning easily as the chalk. I thought he's the real deal. Wesley, I think, has a good one. I feel like a lot of people, he does really well in the spring meet. But he shows up with players here. I can see Rand says that he might, maybe go into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. So that's obviously going to be a much more difficult race than this race here. I mean, this is just a traditional stakes, but a great purse, Oldie. So I agree with you on Outfielder. I was 3-1-6. You're 3-1-4. This is the other Ward. I do like, to your point, that the 3 has, the potential stock off the pace. I think the 1 does win the race, Sim, and the 1's going to the lead, but going to be down on the rail. It has speed, so it might be okay for Johnny V. I think this horse fits, but I had 2nd versus the 3.
Yeah, and I did miss that. Outfielder is entered in the pre-entries in the main body of the field for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint.
Yeah. So may go there. We'll see. And I have not looked at that race. So, I think it'll be very tough here, though. I was surprised, actually, that the 1 was the morning line favorite over the 3. 3-1 versus 5-2. All right. And then we both have massive prices. Actually, yours is a price.
Marcus Hirsch says Outfielder will be scratched from the Bowman Mills and will run in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf for Wesley Ward.
Well,
3 hours ago. So,
well, there you go. So gonna be scratched. So maybe the 1 be tough. Why don't you talk about your long shot, the 4?
Strategic Reserve. So, give me 1 sec to get resituated here because I had to look that up real fast. Strategic Reserve for Safi. This horse was in the Ventura, was bat to favoritism, was battling and just didn't have anything left. I don't think wanted any part of going 8 furlongs. I like the cutback here. We have it listed as route to sprint, but we both know the 8 furlongs at Gulfstream is 1 turn. Did win fairly easily first time out, and Gaff and Safi are almost 30% as a combo.
Yeah, no, it's dangerous player. Gonna have to improve off that effort, but I could see it. I I don't know if this horse will actually be a long shot, but Gallivant is the maiden in the race. Oldy ran really well first time out. It actually took money too, so shows up. L&J Foxwood, homebred. This horse ran awesome. You can see from a work perspective. Mr. Dave Duncan always talks about anytime you can find an early work, somebody has something. Well, this horse been working lights out, showed it in this race, Oldy. I think got a lot out of that race. I mean, drops to 4%, so it might be tough, but I do think it's a nice horse. I'll be curious what the price. I did watch the race, and it ran really well and just gave it up in the end. Just barely, almost ran second, but did all the dirty work and then backed up. So we'll have to see. And the one thing I would say, you go to GSR Plus, and this horse want to go 2 churns. So, finds another tough stakes race here. I don't know. For somebody, it's like, man, sometimes I'd say, well, why don't you just go break your maiden and go through the conditions? Because you're getting these races in, and, you are picking up checks. I mean, it's a nice stakes race, but that's where I went for the 3rd pick. So,
Okay.
Outfielder scratched our top pick, so maybe we scratch into the 1. So 1-4 for you, 1-6 for me. That's the Bowman Mill. We will go to the 8th on the turf, Oldy. And I think, oh my gosh, I thought this was a tough race. It felt pretty wide open to me. Let's watch the race, Sam. Bill, you liked the Spun DMC. Sir Scrat asked if you're announcing in Spanish only.
See, that's my announcement in Spanish. See.
4-horse troubleshooting, 2-1 on the morning line, out on the front. Ends up barely winning the race sim over the 9-horse. What do you think, Oldy? Where'd you land on top here?
I landed with an upset on top here. The 2 Golden Afternoon. Top pace. Gets Jose aboard. Their 2nd best win percentage in the race. Has speed, but doesn't need the lead. The horse has been facing better for the most part as well, and get some class relief here in terms of the 70 SOR number. This horse was thought of well enough to have run 4th in the LeCompte as well. So I think this horse might have a big shot here at somewhere between 12-1 and 6-1 on the E morning line.
Yeah, Nick Vaccarezza has a nice one. I had this horse second, Oldy. I had saw you put this horse on top. I'm like, Jose rides, right? I mean, yeah. He doesn't ride often for Nick, but Nick doesn't have a ton of runners. His first runner at Keeneland, if I remember, he took over for his dad. But I love the morning line angle. I like the pace square, right? Gonna be on the turf, gonna be up front. I put this horse second. I ended up putting a bomber and Dream On Oldie on top. 20-1 on the morning line, 12-1 on the E morning line for Mr. Cassie. Javier Castellano riding here his first day at the meet. I'm assuming he has 0 mounts. I see that the Vikings finally scored. Ran in the Franklin there at Kentucky Downs, where many of these did. it's never easy to come off the pace, whether it's at 6.5, 12, 10, whatever. It's such a speed favoring track. So I don't look too much into that race, but it was a 72. I went back here, didn't necessarily, I definitely want to watch these. I mean, the horse hasn't been showing as much speed recently, did show a little bit more speed in these other races. So,
Yeah.
I mean, won a 72, Oldy at 2-1. I don't know why this horse is 20-1. Like, I don't know, but we have it at 12-1, which probably makes a little more sense, honestly. But, Javier rides, he rides well for Cassie. I just thought this race was wide open, Oldy. And with the pace, I mean, has shown the ability. He's going to be somewhat, I would say, kind of forwardly placed. Not too close, though, right? But I think can sit from that post at a great trip and run a good race. I mean, I don't know. Again, I thought this was a tough race. So I was like, well, good time for an upset. So I had the 6 on top. I had the 2 seconds, just like you. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So on the 6 Dream On, my biggest question on that horse is, does it maybe need some moisture in the turf?
Yeah, I saw that with both those wins. I mean, did win on the
Yeah.
Gulfstream though turf course, Oldie. So, I mean, that's
But
about the farthest away you're going to get
yeah.
from moisture in a turf course when it's completely like I don't know. What do we call it? The Gulfstream turf. I mean, it definitely has more grass than it used to, I feel like, but yeah.
Yeah, but I just feel like, that was against much easier. And, I just think maybe at this level it needs a little bit of, what do they call, a little bit of cut in the turf.
But look at
It's the
I
term.
mean, this it's a grade 3, Oldie, the Bryan Station. But look at everybody's SOR, Oldie. I mean, they're
Yeah.
all, I mean, the 6 is the 3rd highest. And then if you go over here, look, Oldie, it's the highest going 8 furlongs.
Yeah,
Like,
and the morning line doesn't make a lot of sense. I'll give you
but
that.
I mean, even 12-1 is incredible. I mean, I literally, this race is so wide open. But I like her too. So I'll probably be playing a little exacta play here. I think the 4 can run. I had as my 3rd pick. I see you had as your 2nd pick. But man, the 2 and 6 both are going to be outstanding prices. But I think Dream On going to run a monster race. I'm definitely playing the turf pick 3 on Saturday here because it looked good. So I like it. It has the top strength of race at the distance, right? And has the 2nd here, only to the 5, who Final Gambit, I don't like at all. This horse, I mean, they keep trying to figure it out. I honestly think, Goldie, this might just be an allowance horse. I mean, maybe a stakes horse. So where do you go? You find Dream On in Golden Afternoon right there. So
Well,
go ahead.
I had one other horse that I liked here, and that was the 12 Salamis, who's a Chudmont homebred for Chad Brown.
Yeah.
And kind of taking the steps up the ladder, broke its maiden, then won a non-graded stakes, now is trying graded stakes, so taking the traditional way up the ladder. And, I think this horse just could get a good trip from out there. I think it might have a little more speed than the pace numbers giving it credit for. And, if they 2 and the 4 go hook up on the front end, it might be in the right position to close there for Chad, for him to get his only win on the turf at Keeneland this year.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think this race wide open. We'll talk about troubleshooting, then we can move on. I mean, the dreaded won the Kentucky Downs race, Oldie, and now gonna try to. That's why this race. I mean, I just don't like Final Gambit. We could talk about others, but Dream On. I think is gonna be amazing. I can't wait. But, the 4 troubleshooting, I mean, makes a lot of sense for Foley, but has that curse, horses that come out of the win at Kentucky Downs always struggle, Oldies. So I struggled to put this horse on top because of that, but I think it's a player. So, that was a great win, though. You can't fault that. Many came from that race. So, all right, I am 6-4. I can't argue with your 12. You are 2-4-12. Let's keep rolling. I think we got one more at the Keeneland. This is the last stakes of the meet, Oldy. Closing day Saturday, correct?
Correct.
We got Dragoon Guard, Gosker, His Show, Dilger, Bracket Buster, Rattle and Roll. There's a bunch here that we've talked about. Lambeth is a long shot there. I hadn't heard of that horse, but let's watch the race sim. Yeah, Pratt on that horse too, Oldy, the 12. Hit Show got no speed out there. Gonna be way back with Rattle and Roll. Dragoon Guard got the GSR increase. Got at least some amount of speed compared to Gosker and Hit Show. Both nice horses.
Right.
And ends up 9, 10, 11, it looks like. What do you think?
That's I'm 9, 11, 10, so I'm right there with the race sim. I think Dragoon Guard sits a great trip behind Prince of Power and just pounces on that horse here. I think Dilger's I think this is longer than Dilger wants to go. I think, Bracket Buster is nothing special. So I just landed on Dragoon Guard. I prefer the older horses here on top to the younger ones.
Yeah, I put that horse third. I ended up putting Gosker on top. I was 10, 11, 9, so a little bit different order. And then the 5 Moonlight was my bomber, but I put Gosker on top, mainly Oldy, just because I think, not that they're not, I don't know. I just don't love Dragoon Guard, but I thought that Gosker, has run great races. I worry about Hit Show and having no speed. Gosker with Louis going to be great getting this horse out of the gate. You can see here, he's rode these last 3 and broke great, Oldie. So I was surprised the pace number was so low. Has had some layoff lines. Those are all 78s and all grade 1s, right? So they finally find an easier spot for Gosker, where we look at Dragoon Guard. I like predominantly, Flo's riding for Cox, so, but I just can't get around burning money. These are in a 70 and a 72 in allowance races. Like, what happened? How can you not win these races? But does get back to 9, and maybe that's the angle. But I just think Gosker better. Gosker's really done nothing wrong, Oldie. Ran in the Preakness and Haskell and ran second. Those are both grade 1s. The Pennsylvania Derby is at Parks, so just scrap that race. Parks is Parks, right? This is Gosker's race to lose. I'm surprised with the horse 5-2 on the E-Morning line. I think gonna probably be the favorite, honestly. I don't think Dragoon Guard gonna be the favorite. Not with burning all that money. If you want to burn money, do it again. But I just can't get around that. You won grade 3s and then you can't win allowance. You didn't win here. So you can't fault that, right? But I don't know. I went to Gosker on top, mainly just because, again, I don't think this horse has done anything wrong. It's only ran 6 races. So,
All right. I mean,
it's a homebred.
I use Gosker, but first time facing older, um, I think 8.5 is kind of where Gosker wants to be. And I'll say the same thing about Hit Show too. Uh, probably does Hit Show probably does his best running at 8.5 too, even though it does have a win at 9, or a couple wins at 9. But I just think Sid, the speed that Dragoon Guard has here and being third off the layoff, winning second off the layoff, likely to move forward off of that. And for the first time is staying on the track since fall of last year. That I think you're going to see an improved effort from Dragoon Guard there, and I just look at Gosker as maybe a mile 8.5 horse. And I also continue to say that this year's group of 3-year-olds was incredibly weak, and that I do not take the fact that this horse ran well against an incredibly weak company as a sign that this horse will run well against older horses.
Yeah, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if a horse like the 5 wins way off the pace. I just think this is an awful group, honestly. Like, not that it's awful. I think many of these just are not. They're not going to be grade 3 winners. I think most of these are allowance, and like they're just not great. You know what I mean? I mean, Rattle and Roll still running here. I mean, it's like, well, can he get it? Wouldn't surprise me if this horse went. But I'll talk about Moonlight, and then if we want to talk about Hit Show. But I mean, the one thing I'd say about Moonlight, this horse in form, Oldy. I mean, won at Fairgrounds, won twice at Churchill, won a 78 allowance, is winning by 10 and a length and a half. I mean, well, you can't. Does have a couple layoff lines, but is fit, been winning. Hit the board in 9 of 16. I mean, you can't. It's only 6%, but in a race like this that could be wide open, I think could be, it could be tough. So that was where I went as a long shot. I was 10, 11, 9, 5. You want to talk about Hit Show real quick?
Yeah, I mean, if you do get a hot pace here, Hit Show wins this race. There's no doubt in my mind that Hit Show's a better closer than Rattle and Roll or Moonlight or Honor Marie. Hit Show's won a grade 1. Has a bunch of wins at 9 furlongs, even though I think maybe 8.5 is a better distance. Has a bunch of grade 2s as well. That this horse is 5, is mature. I just think you're potentially getting a gift at 9-2 or 6-1 if it's where the morning line is on Hit Show against a group that hasn't faced a horse like Hit Show.
Yeah, no, I don't. I agree. I think this horse fits here. I had as second as well, you and I both. So you're probably going to get a good price. And I thought it was a good race. The Hagyard Fayette Stakes, the last stakes of the meet at Keeneland, race 9. They will be closing down Saturday, and then on to Breeders' Cup. And there was a question only in the chat from Sir Scrat asking when the Breeders' Cup will be up. I saw entries are in. When do they draw post position?
They draw Monday. I believe it's Monday afternoon.
Okay.
So, I mean, unfortunately, they're not doing anybody any favors by that.
Yeah.
It means that the overnight will be an Equibase Tuesday, which means we will have it on Wednesday.
Yeah, Sir Scrat, probably Oldy is right. Not till Wednesday. Because all of the foreign horses, There's a lot of extra that's got to go into it before we put it out is the main thing, just because I think everybody knows foreign horses can be difficult just based on, we don't have as much data and everything. So try to get up as fast as we can, but we will have some outstanding shows next week too around Breeders' Cup. So more to come on that, but go ahead, Oldy.
Can I make the announcement about our,
Yeah,
all right, so I don't know if he's still in the chat, but Dave Duncan from Racing Downwind will be providing notes and commentary on all the Japanese horses for the Breeders' Cup for EquinEdge. And you'll be able to have his notes. We also have Maddie Foster and Ian Wilco from Europe who will be writing notes on all the European horses for us. They will also, both the two of them and Dave will be doing a show with Scotty on a preview show on international horses Wednesday, and it will air live at 4 p.m. Eastern, and then we will rerun it like we do, where you'll be able to watch it live as well. So we're going to make sure we have you guys covered for the international horses for the Breeders' Cup in a way that you probably won't see elsewhere.
So I'll have analysis on pretty much every horse for everybody,
Yeah.
and then we'll also have that live show to talk about them. So don't miss that. So even though it might come out a little bit late after post positions get draw, might take an extra day-ish, 24 hours or so. We'll have great analysis, Oldie, combined with a great show covering all those international horses. So
yeah.
Should be good. Gonna be a fun Breeders' Cup. Lots of people playing the BCBC as well. So, all right, that's Keeneland, Oldie. Breeders' Cup is coming, but before we get there, let's go to one of our most favorite tracks, Santa Anita, on Saturday. 2 stakes races. We will start with the second stakes race. Bobby B has a couple of them. Privman Gaming, I believe he only has 2. Yes. And let's watch the race, Sim.
Well, there's only 4 horses in the race.
I know. Only 85. The Tokyo City Cup. 3 and up. Going 2 turns. Going to go 8 furlongs. And you and I saw this as Bobby gonna win the race, but you and I went on different horses. I see. Privman wins the race, Sim. You're going against that. You're going elsewhere.
I'm going with my old friend Gaming here.
Okay.
Gaming's just faced much better. Even though he was disappointing at the beginning of the season, he's run some solid races. And, I question Privman's the class level on Privman here after that Goodwood effort.
But I mean, Gaming not anything special, Oldie. I mean, burned money at Oaklawn.
I mean, I 100% agree, though, but I don't think you need to be anything special to win this race.
I mean,
especially
at least Privman's hit the board in all the races and is still lightly raced.
Yeah, but that effort in that Goodwood just was, to me, was not good enough.
Not good.
Yeah, and I think that the presence of Pony Express, if Pony Express were to scratch, maybe it'd be different. But I just think Gaming is going to sit a trip here with Mining Distance, Pony Express, and Privman all having to be pretty forwardly placed, and is going to get the pace set up that Gaming hasn't gotten in a lot of these races.
Maybe. I mean, I put the horse second, so it's only a 4-horse field. To your point,
Yeah.
I went to Privman. I mean, the win percent loves this horse. It wins the race sim easy, Oldie, by a length and a half. You know, he's lightly raced. I mean, Mining District, I don't think really fits, to be honest. Like, I don't even have any idea why Pony Express is the morning line favorite at 6-5. That like blew my mind.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, wait, what? Awesome, but I just think the morning lines were out of whack. Did get the morning line on Mining District at 15-1, but I mean, Privman, I still think has opportunity to improve, Oldie. So, won that 54, won a 64, back to back. Yes, couldn't win here at the Goodwood. That was a grade 1 74, right? But easier spot here. I don't know. I'm going Privman. You're going Gaming. Other thoughts on this race?
I have a lot of thoughts on this race.
All right, let's keep rolling. One more on Saturday. Not a 4-horse field on the turf in the Twilight Derby for 3-year-olds, but we got 5. Test score, Oldie, gonna be tough in my opinion. Going 9 on the turf, gonna be probably 2-5. The E morning line might be 1-5. Gonna be probably right. Bred all day, comes from tougher. Scipio, obviously, 23% is the long shot, but I saw this race really coming down to maybe the 5 or 2. The 5 wins the race sim. What do you think?
Yeah, I had it as the 5 or the 2 as well, but I had the 5 on top. I think just has been facing better. The 2 is also coming out of Kentucky Downs, which we've talked about a lot too. I don't really know this horse's level yet, but GSR went from 38 to 78 at Kentucky Downs, and does get Barrios, so there is that.
Yeah,
But I like test score on top win, top GSR, top SOR. And I would give a little bit of. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I would say I'd give a little bit of a long shot look to September 64 on the front end, just because there's no other speed here. And maybe this horse gets brave or lulls them to sleep, but is going to have to relax, which the horse bolted last time out, and really will have to relax on the lead.
But I don't see it relaxing. But I mean maybe. Probably not though. The 2, obviously shows a little bit close there, just because coming from a lot stronger, it might show more at speed versus the 1. But the 1 gonna not be able to relax. 5 gonna sit the trip, I think. I mean, Scipio is essentially the value, but I see this horse more in a vertical bet, Oldie, versus on top in a win bet. Just from an odds perspective. So test score looks tough, but yeah. All right. We'll talk one more at Santa Anita on Sunday, but we got 3 more, buddy. A little bit longer today. We didn't quite get in 90 minutes, but we'll cruise through these last 3. We're gonna do 3 on Sunday, 2 at Churchill. They open up the meet. The first in race 8. We will watch the race sim, and Mr. Scotty, good to see you. Scotty around. And I just love the name, the Grumpy Rabbit, Oldie. And for Mr. Kenny McPeak, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
That's where I went on top. I didn't like a ton in this race. I see you went elsewhere, but I thought the Grumpy Rabbit was going to be tough. Jose riding there. They went at 45%, near what, 9 of 20. Gonna be tough in my opinion. So, you know, I thought it was tough. Where'd you land here?
I landed on the 4 Life of Joy for Brad and his Cox with IRAD aboard. There, this horse broke its maiden by almost 15 lengths at Horseshoe, and now picks up in a nice stakes race here. Continues to be working well. I think this horse could sit a trip here in a group which, while there's not a lot of pace, it could be contentious.
Yeah, from the inside there. I mean, it has a pace square. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. I mean, maybe Poor just didn't run. I couldn't figure out why this horse is only 5%, but you know, Brad Cox, I rad show up at Churchill after being over at Keeneland, so I rad sticking around in Kentucky. Good to see. All right, I put King Solver second. I see you also had second. I mean, pace of the race, Oldy. Has some tactical speed, I think, too, honestly. So maybe this horse doesn't need the lead. Brissett, Flo, one, is finally stretching out. You look at GSR, I think will be probably fine. So I was 5-1. Anything else on King Solver or the Grumpy Rabbit?
No, I was 4-1-5. So I think we covered them.
All right. One more at Churchill, and then we'll close it down for Santa Anita. Race number 10 at Churchill, Oldie, the Street Sense. Cindy, you like the 6 in race 8. Here, I'll go back real quick. You love the 6. Josie Joe, I mean, it's a long shot. Riley Mott, a maiden. Win percent jumps from 7 to 15. Not a bad angle. I mean, this isn't necessarily the greatest race, so maybe a good long shot, Cindy. Yeah, I like it. All right, race 10, Oldie, the Street Sense. Let's watch the race, Sim. And I appreciate, Cindy, you chiming in. That not a bad angle. Maidens can win races like that sometimes.
All right, I got an upsetter here for you.
Oh, I see that. I'm on. I actually thought that I thought my pick might be tough here, but I look forward to hearing this because maybe you got a price here.
All I have to say on mine is, actually I have a lot to say, but I would say start by checking out the works. All
right, talk to us.
All right, so very connected. The other McPeak in this race, this horse broke its maiden last time out, already has a win at Churchill. And you look here, this horse on October 18th ran a 1 of 210 at Churchill Downs, sub 12 seconds per furlong effort. And you look at all these here, actually it's a faster timed work than that at 47 and 2 or 47 and 1 at 47.2. That was 4 of 149. This horse can run.
And you know what I'll tell you, Oldie? And if Dave's still in the chat, he probably... This, to me, though, can be the key work all the way back this summer at Colonial, because they ran a 37, and 37.6. Yeah. And that, I mean, it doesn't fall below 36, right? But that's a nice work, and then they kind of worked along, right? And then now, to your point, then they start running these bullets too, right? So, but then I look, okay, you ran 7. Well, this horse wants long, right? We can see it in the GSR. I mean, 100%, right? I mean, look, it wants to go 8.5 or 9 furlongs. Like, This is a great angle. And part of why toss the Kentucky Downs race. This is a rough trip here. You can see it climbing, checked, and then here finally broke the maiden. Yeah. I mean, I could see it, not a bad long shot angle in a race like this.
And all those bullet works came after it came out of the maiden breaker.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That this horse may be moving forward and clicking at the right time here.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd have, maybe for me, not a bad little exacta bet. I still like Voss, the one oldie. Will Walden ran really well last out for OXO Equine. That was 8 furlongs. This is going 8.5. They stretch out, going 2 churns. I think going to be really, really tough in this group. I mean, that was the 72. Now they go to 74, but they go from 8 to 8.5. I think it'd be tough with Louis. When you watch on the race sim here, horse sits here, sits the trip. You can see the 4 running on like you talked about. So maybe an exacta play, probably be a 1-4 for me. I like your angle on the 4, but I did think Voss would be tough. Voss would be tough here.
And I did use Voss in second. And then I had the other McPeak. I say the other McPeak, that the McPeak that is the morning line favorite, Universe, in third. Coming out of New York, not working as well as Very Connected is, but had some really hot works at Saratoga over the summer.
Yeah,
and, ran in the Champagne, was bumped at the start. So, we don't really know what we're going to get here. 45% with Jose, though, aboard. I just wonder, though, whether this horse wants to go longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. You are 413. I am 1 and adding your 4. One more oldie. Closing day at Santa Anita Park. We will have a second show this weekend covering Santa Anita on Sunday, the 26th. End of the meet, oldie. Not the last race of the meet, but the last stakes of the meet. The grade 3 Autumn Miss. We got our own morning line. Not a morning line yet. Let's watch the race sim. This 9 horse going to be flying, but 1,000 miles going to put some pressure from the inside. Maybe. 9 does have a pace square. I do think the 3 might show some speed, but we'll see. The race sim has the 9. They're going 8 on the turf. Taking them a long way. At the top of the stretch, if I remember, the 4 and the 5 both come along. It looks like the 7 as well as the 2. And comes 4, 2, 5, 7. 9 does back up, but does take them all the way to the stretch. I always like to run the race sim to the stretch, Oldy. It can be very dangerous. You have a good price on the 9 horse. What do you think?
I went with the 9 horse on top, Please Baby Girl, based off the pace advantage here, which is 18 points. I just think that this horse could get away and doesn't need the lead either, but could get away. My question on the distance, the horse has been successful and nearly won at a mile. Was well thought of enough to be placed in a grade 3 as a maiden as well for one in the Doug O'Neill barn. It's just going to be a matter of whether the horse gets an easy enough lead. If it does, I think it could hang on and could be gone here.
I just couldn't. I looked at this horse and it's a long shot, and maybe I guess it might burn me, but I just can't get around the 0 for 6 at 8. Like I couldn't. And like it had all these chances. It only got the lead twice, but it got a really easy lead there in the maiden and couldn't do it. I mean, they knew they had talent because they raced in the Jimmy and Taranti, but it just burned all this money. Like, but pace make the race, Oldy. That horse can probably take him a long way. I do think 1,000 miles might inject some pace with the 9, though. We'll have to see. This horse sprinted at Santa Anita down the hill last out. So, but I ended up going to the 2. Yeah, that's right. I put the picks down there for everybody. Slick has 2 wins, 1 last out for D'Amato. Mr. Rispoli rides both wins at 8 furlongs, Oldy, at Santa Anita. Once in a 48 to break the maiden, then a 62. The Delmar Oaks was on the rail. Ends up getting off the rail, was in the 2 post last out, and ended up sitting a nice stalking trip. You can see there, ended up just kind of taking over in the stretch. I think could be similar. They get back to 8. I don't think the horse wanted 9 and probably doesn't want 8.5 either. I mean, I think they're getting back to the right distance. I think they've started to figure it out with her as a 3-year-old. And I think she can improve off that last effort. I think they get a good price too. There's a lot of horses that are at 3-1 on the E morning line. So I'm curious to see the actual morning line, but I think Slick sits a good trip. I see you had that horse second. Any other thoughts on Slick?
I think Slick had a nice effort last time out. I definitely think Slick's among one of the horses that could win this race. Is what I would say. I think it's probably more wide open than that. There's a couple others that I think have a chance, and but I think among those horses, if Lee's Baby Girl doesn't win on the front end, Slick has the best chance amongst the others.
Yeah. I thought Innovative and Warming both had a look. I'll talk about Warming if you want to talk about Innovative. I mean, Graham finally getting back, I think, to the right level. They were way too tough at Saratoga in 76 and 80s. I mean, that was the main thing. I mean, this horse finally won at Delaware, and then they just went way too deep. Company was in the rail last out and broke 12th. Oldy was a step slow, was squeezed prior to that. So recently has had some trouble breaking, but JJ gets aboard, so I like to see that. I think she could be tough here. She's 22% to win, so the top win percent. She's not in the pick, so conflicts with the algorithm on the Scotty Pick algorithm, but I thought she'd be tough. I had her third. I had Innovative second, but I see you also like Innovative a little bit. You want to talk about the 4?
Yeah, I mean, my question on the 4 is the distance, but did beat a similar group to what Slick beat at the distance, but the GSR does go down. I think this horse needs to be pretty forwardly placed at this distance and level. And my other question on this horse, it is Little Red Feather too. But my other question is why the jockey that's going aboard there in Gonzalez is only 9% with D'Amato. So is that a sign that this, Barrios isn't in this race? He didn't put Barrios. Barrios is aboard. I'm sorry. Barrios is aboard in a horse in this race, but there are other jockeys he probably could have gone to. Why did he go to one that he doesn't typically put on live horses?
Well, I mean, Ricardo been riding here.
Yeah, but
I mean, I think they just.
Yeah, I guess that could be the reason. But that they're only. I mean, this is pretty much the only horse that they've been winning on together.
Yeah, I mean, but
three wins this year.
You know what I mean? I know, but that's why I put the 2 on top. Actually, I mean, because that's why I put Innovative second. I was a little bit worried about that too, Oldy, but I mean, I do appreciate that they let Ricardo keep them out. You know what I mean? He's won back-to-back races too, so it's not like he's done anything wrong. He's won 3 of 4, right? So that fits here. I mean, it's a grade 3, won a grade 3 last out and ended up getting up there off the pace. And there's going to be pace with Lee's Baby Girl. So You want to talk about your long shot before we close it down?
Yeah, Firenze Flavor, who apparently that I can see no relation to Firenze Fire, uh, but you know has a grade 3 at 9 furlongs, and is going to be closing. He was in too tough the last 2 times out in a grade 1 and a grade 2, and gets the class relief here both in SOR and in stakes grading. And Gallagher with Kamara aboard, I think that this horse could have a big chance at a price here on the draw.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Kamara gets back a ride, won there in a 58. So I think this horse is going to have to improve. But I would say it does find the right spot on the drop back to grade 3. So gets back to 8 furlongs. You can see her on the GSR, has won twice. So you got to respect that. So Sir Scrap the 6, take a breath. I mean, it's Barrios on the turf. This horse has burned some money, but in the U.S. now, third time in the U.S., the win percent goes down from 15 to 7. Ran up on heels. Antsy, I mean, she looks a little bit like a head case to me, but she was the favorite there. I mean, she definitely. I mean, she has You can see she has problems. For me, when I see this, I'd want to go watch these races to see what's going on. Why is she not breaking? What, like here, broke slow and then ran up on heels. Stuff like that scares me. And why she figured it out? But I would say Hector keeps riding, so I mean, maybe she figures it out. I mean, third in the U.S. She's still lightly raced. It's just start number 10. So,
well, and she was closing in the Del Mar Oaks, and didn't miss by much, even with the antsiness.
yeah,
As well.
yeah.
I don't know what happened last time out, but it's possible that this horse runs better without Lasix, because Lasix went on for the allowance race. Lasix was off in Europe and in the Del Mar race.
Yeah. I mean, she might. To your point, she breaks slow. She has problems, right? I mean, at the break, you can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, she just broke and then she rushed up here, and then she completely faded back. I mean, she needs to still put it together. She only 3 though. She's still trying to figure it out. So, yeah. All right, Oldy. That's the last at Santa Anita, closing day, race number 8. I am 245. You are 9247. All right, y'all. We appreciate it. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. We will be live Saturday, Oldie, for Stretch Run. Lots of live coverage, including Santa Anita, Gulfstream Park, Horseshoe, Woodbine. What am I missing? I'm missing something. Laurel Park, I believe.
Laurel Park.
Great day of live racing. We will be here all day. And Oldie, we will be on Saturday covering Santa Anita and a little Gulfstream Park for a wonderful show on closing day. What else, Oldie? Did I forget anything?
We will have Matt Miller live with us on Saturday. We will have the Kingpin himself, Scotty McKeever, live with us on Sunday for the Santa Anita show. We'll also be simulcasting live through Santa Anita's YouTube on Sunday as well for closing day. So it should be a big day and a big show. Expect a lot of Santa Anita focus coverage and sunset pick 6s and cross country or coast to coast pick 5s. Lots of good content coming up and lots of amazing content for the Breeders' Cup as well.
Yes, and Santa Anita, watch for Sunday. There's the Santa Anita Meat Pass, Oldy, correct?
Yeah. So I actually spoke to Ryan about that today. If you sign up for an EquinEdge account, you will get Santa Anita for free. Whether you have a free race account or a expired account that you used to have EquinEdge, if you've signed up, you will have Santa Anita for free on Sunday.
Perfect. All right. That was, I think, about 22 stakes, Oldy. That's about the max we usually cover. Thanks, everybody, for hanging as you hit the sack tonight. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Thanks for joining us. We will be live Saturday, 3 Eastern, 2021 BCBC champ. Matt Miller will join us. Thanks, all. Have a good evening.
All right. Excellent.
Excellent.
Woo!